Hey everyone, Ed from On My Turntable here. Just wanted to take some time and put out a new video to show some recent vinyl finds that I've got in my travels over the past couple of weekends. First off, before I begin, just want to say thank you to all the folks that I've been having a dialogue with here in the vinyl community, commenting, subscribing, liking. It's been a lot of fun meeting some new people. So I appreciate everybody's support and encouragement as I continue to have some fun doing something for me, which is kind of new. So before I begin, I'd like to show you the places where I bought the LPs that I'm going to show. First up is a place called Tunes in Hoboken, a great record store down on Washington Street in Hoboken. If you're in that area, definitely check that place out. And a couple of weekends ago, I was down in Port St. Lucie, Florida, seeing friends of mine. And down in West Palm Beach, not far from there, is a place called Rust and Wax. I had a bunch of great stuff shipped home over the past week. It came to the house, so I have some of that stuff I'm going to show today from Rust and Wax in West Palm Beach, Florida. So first up, I have from John Mayall, got this for $1, which is great. USA Union from 1970. I'm slowly expanding my John Mayall catalog. I do have the second side of this LP playing in the background. I think you can hear a little bit of it. I really like this. It's really mellow, really bluesy, and it's John Mayall. I'll show you the inside. John Mayall with a couple of members from Canned Heat, I believe, from 1970, like I said. And there's no percussion on this LP. There's no drums. It's all guitar, harmonica, violin, keyboards, bass guitar, acoustics. It's pretty great. Most of it is with regards to relationship-oriented songs, blues-type stuff. But the first track is called Nature is Disappearing, which is all about the addressing the ecology at the time and environmental issues all the way back in 1970. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the lyrics are in here as well. This is John Mayall, USA Union from 1970. Really nice. I've been looking to expand some of my garage collection, and so I picked up a really nice mono copy of the Troggs Wild Thing from 1966. Didn't have any Troggs before on vinyl. This is actually pretty great and holds up pretty well for an original copy from that time, I must say. What was cool about it is it has the actual factory inner sleeve from Fontana Still, which is pretty neat. And there's the backside is there, and it's got that that old school sort of lime green, orange Fontana label there. This is actually a heavier and darker record than I thought. I know the songs, Wild Thing, the other one, what is it? With a Girl Like You, which is pretty light and poppy, but this is a little bit darker, a little moodier. It reminds me a little bit of, I don't know, Iggy and the Stooges, I think. A lot of, 2-chord, 3-chord, simple tunes on here, but a little bit darker and more menacing than I thought it would be. But actually, I kind of like it. I've given that a couple of spins. Next up, I found a great Sundays collection called Metro Beat, a whole bunch of artists from the Minneapolis area. So Sundays is great. They do a stellar job with all these types of compilations, the remastering, all bands, other than the Trashmen, I've never heard before. You've got the Cornerstones on here, Joker's Wild, the Titans, the Underbeats. So this is just great garage band rock and roll, a lot of regional stuff. And as always with Sundays, you get the bios of the bands, the discography of the label, which is pretty cool and really great quality. So I picked this up for $5 as well. This is pretty great. Next up on the garage rock compilation, I came across something called Mind Rocker, 14 rare tracks. There were a bunch of these, excuse me, in the store that I was at. I'd never seen these before. I just picked up the one because I wanted to buy some other stuff. Nothing fancy about the packaging. There are some bands on here that I recognize. Music Explosion, The Leaves. Who else is on here that I know? Lord and the Flies. I did some reading on this. This is one of like a 12 or 13 LP garage set that came out, I guess, in the UK back in the 80s. So I just picked up one. It was $8. I like it. The sound quality is pretty good. If I happen to come across some more, I can slowly build up that collection. But this is Mind Rocker, and this is actually volume 5, I think. Yeah, volume 5. I snagged this. Pretty good. And then I was really psyched to get this, the baddest Bago group that ever was, the Shangri-La. This is the leader of the pack on Redbird. This is a reissue, of course, but man, it's great. And it's got everything that you need on here. And it's got that nice Redbird label on here as well. All the stuff is here. Give Him a Great Big Kiss, Leader of the Pack. You know all the songs. Walking in the Sand, Can Never Go Home Anymore. Past, Present, and Future. It's all the Shangri-Las you need, and just really just great classic rock and roll from just a great badass girl group. Fantastic stuff, the Shangri-La. And moving on to the Bubblegum side of the house, I'm exploring that as well a little bit more. This is, I believe, what's an original pressing of the Lemon Piper's Green Tambourine from 1968. So this is really wild and really trippy. And I did some research on the band a little bit and this LP after I picked it up. And it's Bubblegum, but it's interesting because they were an actual band, not some studio concoction that the Buddha team, Buddha label team, put together like they did with all those other bubblegum bands. So there's a little bit of bubblegum stuff on here, Green Tambourine, some of that stuff as well. But they also have some original stuff on here, which is really, bluesy. Owes a Lots of the Birds, 8 Miles High. The last two tracks on side two are really ode to that, where they basically just cut loose and do their own thing. So it's a very interesting listen, and it's a pretty decent copy. It's in good shape, on that Buddha, Prism label right there, which is pretty neat. And as a sidebar, Paul Lika, who co-wrote Green Tambourine and some other stuff on here, he grew up not far from where I grew up. He was born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So hometown boy, Paul Lika with the Lemon Pipers and Green Tambourine. So not your average bubblegum LP. It's a little bit better than you think. And their original stuff is pretty interesting. Next up, switching gears a bit, I'm a big Ry Cooder fan, so I'm continuing to fill my Ry Cooder collection. This is his soundtrack to The Border, the movie with Jack Nicholson from 1980, I believe, 82. So all the usual suspects with Ry Cooder, him and his buddies are on this soundtrack. Him, John Hyatt, Jim Keltner, Jim Dickinson. So Sam the Sham is on here. Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs playing some organ on a track. So I haven't played this yet, but I know that I'm going to love it. Ry Cooder is a really great catalog. It's a very affordable catalog. So if you've been thinking about snagging some Ry Cooder, you really can't go wrong with any of it. And it's really a good deal. So Ry Cooder's The Border. And next up, sort of in that vein in a way, good old Delbert McClinton. So this is the best bar band you ever want on a Saturday night. Delbert McClinton just has a lot of great rock and roll. He's written a lot of great songs that have been covered by other artists. So this is just great bar band stuff. He's got some originals on here, covers Taj Mahal, Johnny Cash, Willie Dixon. So you really can't go wrong with this record. It's just put this on a Saturday night, invite some people over, and you'll definitely have a good time. So this is Delbert McClinton and Second Wind from 1980, I believe, 1980. Really, really good stuff. Switching gears to my college days, I came across a nice import of The Mission. Oh, yes, it really takes me back. There was a time when I was into all this stuff, The Mission, Sisters of Mercy, Fields of the Nephilim, all that stuff in my college days. So I very much have a touch tone for that music. So this is a nice import EP that I found. It has their version of Neil Young's Like a Hurricane on here and their original Garden of Delight. There's the label right there. And they actually have a tune on here called Over the Hills and Far Away, which is not the Zeppelin cover. It's an original. And they end off with The Crystal Ocean. So if you're into old school goth and doom and all that, The Mission, you really can't go wrong. It's dramatic and over the top, but for me it worked. And it's just great to play this again. I hadn't heard it in years. I snagged this. It was just fantastic. So the Mission EP with Like a Hurricane and Over the Hills and Far Away. Just really, really great stuff. Just a few more to go. I picked up the Tom Robinson Band TRB2, produced by Todd Rundgren. So Tom Robinson, I didn't have any of, but certainly a pioneer in the UK for gay and lesbian rights. So this is pretty good. I hear his first album is better. I don't have it. This very much has that Todd Rundgren anthemic sheen to it. Certainly well produced and sounds really good. I have to give it a few more listens to see if some of the songs actually stick. But one of the things that was great about this is the inner sleeve. Actually, I'll show you the label. It's on the Harvest label, which is pretty sweet. But the inner sleeve right here, photos of the band, and the other side here, tough to read here, but it's all mailing addresses to any type of support group you might need, whether it's for legal and political assistance, gay and lesbian assistance, environmental assistance, reaching out to folks in prison, amnesty. So all different types of addresses and networks that you can connect with if any of those types of causes, speak to you. So this is 1979. I thought that was pretty interesting to see that from when that came out. So pretty good. I'll give it another listen, but I'm definitely glad to have it. The last two that I got are total blind buys. They were under $10. They look kind of interesting. I've read nothing about them, not reading any bios. I definitely want to give them a listen, kind of formulate my own opinion and see what my takeaway is. So the first up is a band called The Photos, and I believe they're from the UK. Very, very new wavy, as you can tell. Very 80s, as you can tell. I believe this is 1980. It's actually a promo copy. Haven't listened to this yet. Don't know what to expect. Um, so we'll see how it goes. We've got some, pictures of the band in here, pretty typical of that style and time. Lyrics on the back, etc. So this should be an amusing listen. So I'll give that a go. Looking forward to that. And lastly, I picked up something called, never heard of this either, Sea Train. Sea Train. So looking at this, you could tell this is from that time period where every band out there wanted to be the band, right? All that sepia photographs, dudes on the cover who are shirtless, dudes on the cover who are shirtless in overalls, their dogs are running around. All albums at one point just kind of looked like this. And this is from 1970, from what I can gather, just based upon the song publishing rights that are inside on the gatefold here. And the only name that I recognize on this LP is that it was produced by George Martin. That's all I know. So I'm curious to hear what this sounds like. I kind of have an idea what it might sound like. Once again, know nothing about him, but I'm going to give that spin and see where that goes. And both of those were under $10, so I figured, what the heck. So that's it. That's the most recent vinyl finds that I have. Feel free to share any comments and likes. If you know about some of these LPs, if they speak to you, or if it's something new you want to try, let me know. And having a good time. So once again, until I put something else out there, appreciate everybody watching, taking the time to take a few minutes out of your day to give me a go and give me a listen. And it's appreciated. So with that, everybody have a good rest of the day. And like I tend to say when I sign off is, with everything going on out there, let's be kind to one another. Thanks, folks.